Ready to go. Okay.
We're in business. Yeah. Good evening, everyone. Thanks to all those people who jumped on to watch the live right now, and anyone watching the replay. So before I introduce Rolf to everyone and have a quick summary of what we're going to go through this evening, I'll just read out the disclaimer. So the disclaimer is, this information is provided for and on behalf of the Conscious Living Institute. This is private information for educational purposes only and does not constitute legal, medical, or financial advice. The Conscious Living Institute would like to point out that they do not offer any promise of cures for diseases and no guarantee for relief or improvement of symptoms of diseases. The Conscious Living Institute would like to point out that they strongly urge you to seek the advice of a doctor or naturopath if you are seriously ill and get confirmation that you can use a Healy. Also beware of contraindications. Also note, for the purpose of the live Conscious Living Institute events, please be aware that these may be recorded and published for further viewing, and your participation implies your consent. And finally, we emphasize that the content for the offerings is the intellectual property of the Conscious Living Institute's team members and has a copyright. So the information, slides and video recordings are not to be shared without the Conscious Living Institute's permission. That's it from me. Let me introduce the wonderful Rolf, who will take us through the I-Ching workshop this evening. So Rolf, how would you explain it to everyone?
Well, in essence, it is shadow work. We just recently we've done an interview about shadow work. You know, that's a key word at the moment. Everyone is asking what are shadows and how can we deal with our shadows, and do we need to deal with shadows? And since Krista and I have the Healy, and when I went through the programs, I saw that the I-Ching was in there. And I don't know how many of you are familiar with the old Chinese Book of Changes, 3,000-year-old knowledge about life and movement of life. And the old Chinese, they were pretty good in observing nature and life and how people react. So I saw that the I-Ching was in here, and I know that the I-Ching is essentially about 64, they call it hexagrams. And you probably heard about the I-Ching, Chinese I-Ching and hexagrams. They used to use it for as a divination tool, is that the right pronunciation? Or to do predictions, you know, to tell good fortune. But these days it has developed, and maybe some of you are aware that I'm a Gene Keys ambassador. I've been working with the Gene Keys as my main go-to coaching tool for 12 years now, together with human design and other things. And the Gene Keys is a modern version of the old I-Ching. The old I-Ching, it's a little bit hard to work with. So when people are confronted or coming across the old I-Ching, it's a language that's where people can have difficulties to relate to, including me. So about 11 years ago, I came across the book. It's called the Gene Keys, which is a modern version of the old I-Ching in a more modern language, in an updated language. And we can use it to do shadow work. Because what the I-Ching is, it talks about 3 levels of consciousness or frequency bands. And since we are all working with the Gene Keys, we are all familiar with frequencies, right? And we have frequency bands that relate to our state of mind, our consciousness. And there are 3 major states of frequency bands. They interact with each other. And one we can call the shadow, or another word for shadow is reactive patterns. Another word would be a trigger, something that triggers a certain reaction or behavior. or victim states. It's another word for it. So these are all stages and frequency patterns that are fear-based. And here it's about survival instinct. But the main thing to realize here, it's fear-based. So, and most of us are conditioned to react from that state, from that shadow state. It's mostly unconscious. 90% of our daily reaction is unconscious. We're not even aware of it. It's almost like operating on autopilot, if you know what I mean. You know, something is happening and something is triggered and you're reacting a certain way, or you do say something, or you have an emotional upset or something. So as long as those reactive patterns or shadows are not known or not coming in our conscious awareness, they just determine our life, if that makes sense. So as soon as we become aware of our shadow states, of our reactive patterns, and we go, oh, that was again, oh, no, I'm aware of my patterns. For me, for instance, I'll give you an example. I am triggered by a keyword, disrespect or respect. I have something in my emotional awareness. When I am not respected or I see disrespect on the outside, I get upset easily. And I can go into a reactive mode where I snap and get angry, can get angry. So I know that this is an emotional trigger, the keyword or the shadow of disrespect. So since I know that I am more mindful and I am aware when those things are happening in my life, and I can step back, take a breather, allow what's happening, accept what is happening, and then if I choose to, respond from a state of peace rather than fear. Yeah, very simple. So, and then that puts me in a position to then respond, knowing my own being and knowing my own creative potential, because that's the next level of one hexagram or gene key. Yeah. And I am then more in a position to lead my life and express my creative potential rather than always reacting out of my shadow and reactive patterns. So how would it be if people are more aware of their shadow aspects and live their life from their creative potential? And we go through some examples here. And then the final state, it's called the city, or it's city. It's a word for divine expression. Here we are at an open awareness where our true essence can shine through, come in and shine through, and we live our true or real selves. So, but it all starts with recognizing our triggers. And the I-Ching is a tool, or the I-Ching or the gene keys is a tool to recognize our triggers. Now, when I saw that the I-Ching was included in our analysis app with the Healy, I thought, well, how can I use it? And I had the idea immediately, like when I hear I-Ching, for me, it's the gene keys, right? The I-Ching, it's hard to approach. And when I do a scan with the Healy, it comes up with a 16-page description of the old I-Ching. How can someone work with that? That's too complicated. If you download it, and for most people, if you read this, it's just, how can someone work with that? I thought, no, there must be a better way. So, are you familiar with that PDF when you do an I-Ching or an aura scan? You have the possibility to download a PDF that talks about what you've just scanned, but it's really hard to penetrate. I can't work this way, but I found a way to work with it and use the analyzer app from the Healy and use it in a very simple way. In a way that I can use in practical terms to assist people with shadow work. And if that is of interest to you, you're at the right place. So let's go through the steps. And I have also, and I will provide some easy lists here. I'll show you what I mean by that later. You will have some tools to work with that I can say right here and right now, anyone can do it. It's easy. So you are most likely familiar to do a scan, yeah? So you grab your Healy, and I'll also have a list here. I will send that to you too. Step 1, step 2, step 3, step 4, some questions. So step 1 to 6, easy done. So here it's a script for you to use the Healy and do. We lost Michelle. I admit her again. So here's Michelle. So a simple script, a simple tool for you to use your Healy to do an I-Ching scan and help people with their shadow work. How is that? Is that cool?
Do that for you though.
So you're probably familiar with doing a scan, yeah? You've got the resonance, the Healy resonance, and you can use the analyzer app and do a scan. Okay. So first things first. So you turn on your Healy and you connect to the blue analyzer app. Easy, right? Then you click on client. If you have someone, let's say a new client, you click on add a new client, and you add on a new client. Like I've done this afternoon with Daniel because we go through an example later. So I've put Daniel's details in there. I took a photo, measured the frequencies. You know how to do that. I don't need to go through those things. Okay, you're familiar with that. Thumbs up. You know how to do that. Cool. So, and then you go through the resonance analysis, choose that client you just added, and then you continue with database selection. And there you scroll down and you choose the I-Ching. Easy, right? And then you start the analysis. So when I do a distance scan, I put the Healy on my phone and put my finger with the intention, holding in my mind the intention, and picture that other person, and I do the scan. Right? Simple. If I have someone next to me, like a one-on-one live, then of course they put their finger on the screen of the phone while the scan is running. Okay, all good. That was step 1. So new client, and you do analysis with the I-Ching. Okay, step 2. After the analysis is done, you notice that there's a whole list with heaps of information, which is basically the 16 pages I've shown you, right? Now, what I do next is I look for the numbers. In the text here, you can see it says I-Ching number, what is it here, 41. So I note down the number 41. I scroll further down. Second relevance is then, it says here, gene key, or sorry, I-Ching 11. Yeah, makes sense? You see that on the screen. If you scroll down by relevance, it says on top relevance is the number, what was it, 41. The next one is 11, and then you scroll down. I've printed it out here so to show you. And then there is the relevance on 3, relevant 3. It says here I-Ching number 8, the number. So you write down those numbers. As with any other scan, there are 5 top relevances, right? So, and here you have 5 numbers or I-Ching numbers. So I've done a scan with Daniel before, and for him came up the first one, top relevance was the number 11. Next one was the 8, 26, 22, and 28. And there are numbers all out of the 64 hexagrams. The gene keys are 64. There are 64 in the I-Ching. We have 64 codons in our DNA. At most computers running a 64-bit software. So the 64 is a magical number. It's a combination of computer language, the number 1 and the 0, 1 and 0, 1 and 0, 0 and 1. So there are I don't know how many ways to combine a 1 and a 0, and the same is with the I-Ching. They used it in the old days with the broken line and an unbroken line. Looks a bit like, when you see it, broken, 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 unbroken, 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 and that changes all the time. The combination. So that's an I-Ching hexagram, and here it's the hexagram 8. For instance, because it's here in the text. And we have 64 ways to combine a broken and an unbroken line, hence the number 64. So the 64 is a significant number in life. So I have written down the five top relevant numbers in Daniel's I-Ching scan. Okay, what to do next? Now, I have found that it makes no point in reading through all the text. But I know, and I have some charts for you to prepare with the 64 archetypical keywords of the gene keys. The archetypical is a spectrum of consciousness, and there are keywords in there. Right? Can you see that? So, for instance, we have picked. Oh, hang on. So you've written down the 5 numbers, the 5 I-Ching numbers from the scan. Make sense? Easy, yeah. So
perfect. Yeah.
Then I click on action. After every scan, you can click on action. The red button. And here it says either show PDF or vibrate. You're familiar with that, yeah? You can click on show PDF, and then it shows you this 16-page document. You can send it then to someone if you want to, or send it yourself. if you want to give people the opportunity to read for themselves, but I personally found it's not necessary, because it's just too confusing, and I use my own process, which is I found much more satisfactory. So where are we? So, and then I vibrate. I click on vibrate. So the information that was contained in the scan about Daniel's numbers, or hexagrams or gene keys, the 11, 8, 26, 22, and 28, that information, that basic information, is now vibrating into Daniel's field relating to his scan, like you do with all the other scans too, yeah, with the Healy scans. And then I select the transmission. And I usually select 2 minutes, 49 seconds. So I click on vibrate. And if I do a distant vibration, I always put the Healy then on my phone. If someone is close with me, they, of course, hold the Healy in their hand. So you with me so far?
Yep, got it.
Easy?
Easy.
So that was finished with step 3. Step 1, a new client, you do the scan, you do the analysis, you write down those 5 relevant numbers. It's like writing down at any other scan, like liver or whatever comes up in the scan. So you write that down. So you've got those numbers. And then I vibrate it. Okay. And now I close the app. Finished. Done with the Healy. And now it's your coaching process. Now you act as a coach. So, because we have the 5 relevant gene keys or hexagrams, I give you a list. This one, and where's the other one? And this one, and there are your tools. That's all you need. They're all your tools. Anyone can work with it. And if you have a little bit of expertise in coaching or counseling or supporting people, it's all about asking questions. It's and a little bit of intuitive guidance from yourself when you watch the person you're dealing with, or you know, when it's a live thing. So okay, and now you go to step 5. So then I explain usually that those I-Ching numbers, it's the same as the gene keys numbers. I-Ching, gene key, for me, it's the same thing. There's 64 of them, right? And the scan, the Healy scan has brought up 5 relevant topics that are important and relevant for someone at the moment. That's the result of the scan. So, and now I explained already about the shadows, the gift, that the 3 levels, you know, the fear-based state, the shadow, then the creative, the gift, and the true expression. So now, the first number that came up with Daniel was the gene key 11, or hexagram number 11. That's what the scan showed, right? So now I take my chart, have a look at number 11, and you see number 11, have a look at those 3 words, and that's what I'm working with now. So for now, I said, well, Daniel, for you, the top relevant gene key, the top topic that came up was number 11. And number 11, the shadow work, the reactive pattern here is called obscurity. So, and then I have some questions in your guideline as well. There are the questions for you. You can ask now. And I have also put this one in there as well. You can use that as a reference as well. It's a bit hard to see, but here's a bit of an explanation. The number 11, I am lost in my unmanifested dreams. It's all here. Yeah, you get all that. So I asked Daniel, now, when I say to you the keyword of obscurity and are you lost in your unmanifested dreams? I'll go here. First question, how does that show up in your life?
This is the nerve-wracking part, right?
Does it show up? Can you relate to it?
So that was like feeling lost in your unmanifested
dreams.
Yeah,
yep.
I guess. Yeah.
It's here. You asked that question.
Yeah.
Yep.
I think it's very, very on point in terms of looking at, we all have our dreams, what we think our purpose is, and it's just about recognizing where to go, I think, and which ones to pursue.
Yeah. And obscurity, actually now for me as a way, what does it actually mean? Obscure, to be hidden or something, or hiding behind something, to not wanting to be seen. Is that right?
Could be, yeah.
Could be. So how is that as your reactive pattern or shadow aspect? How do you see the shadow in yourself, in others, in the world?
I guess in that sort of shadow response and having that sort of outlook or view, you might tend to sort of hide and just hide behind, I think. So I could definitely relate to that.
Yeah, and do you have unmanifested dreams? Do you get lost in them?
Absolutely. I think that's very kind of topical, on point right now. I think, yeah, a lot of people are sort of really reflecting back and seeing what is it that they want to do and how do you make that happen? How do you make that happen?
Yeah. Here it's all about through those keywords and asking one or two questions to raise awareness, to make someone aware of what came up with the scan, the first one, the 11, the shadow of obscurity. How does it relate to you? It came up with the scan, so I don't know why. I'm not here to explain something or to give a reading. I'm here to get in interaction and to just see if that makes sense to you. That's all.
It does. And how do we compare? What is the gift, and how do we compare it between?
It's part of one of those next questions, and then the third question is, it's on your list. Then you just refer to your list. How am I expressing, or how do you express that shadow of obscurity and being lost in your dreams? How do you express that? You get a feeling for it? Do you know?
Yeah, I think easily done. Like even now, it's just you kind of it's easy to be. You can see me stuttering. Easy to be unsure of how to articulate and just and needing something
putting on
hold on
the spot. No.
Very much.
Yeah, especially now in this situation. Yeah, when you do one-on-one, it's a lot easier now. I get that. But what I want to say to you now too is my role as, someone who has done the scan, who is now working with shadow. My role is just to simply ask questions and have an open mind, not giving advice, not saying this is this and this means that. Just I'm staying away from that. I don't know what it means. It came up in Daniel's scan, and he needs to come in touch with that meaning of that keyword of obscurity. Does it make sense to you? I don't know. I'm just asking the question. So keep that in mind. It's no advice giving, it's no interpretation, it's just asking questions and staying open and neutral, providing an open space for the other to express what they feel and think or not feel, or someone might say, oh, I've got no idea. That's okay too, Then you move on to the next question. And the next question is, when this victim pattern shows up, how do you feel? It's always good to go a little bit deeper then and touch the feeling space. How do you feel if your dreams are not manifested?
It might be, like an element of perhaps not disappointment, but something similar where you question, you wonder, you look for, I think, courage to make it happen, I think.
Yeah. So, and now we are done with the shadow. You just got a little bit of not information, but you just make sure that people get a sense for this one keyword and to connect with it, because the whole purpose here is to bring our shadow aspects into our awareness. It doesn't mean that immediately you have breakthroughs and aha moments and insights, but you're planting a seed. That's all it is.
Yeah.
And now we move onto the next level, which is now the creative gift. And the creative gift from the 11 is called idealism. See, sometimes they're a little bit funny or lofty words, so you need to play with it. Idealism. And here on that list, the gift from the 11, there's an affirmation or clarification. And it says, I know what my ideals and dreams are. So I can ask Daniels again, too. Do you know what your dreams and ideals are?
Well, yeah, you can sort of have a feeling of what it is. Maybe you may not be able to articulate every aspect of it, but sense of your direction. Yeah, you very much have a comfort in working towards something that you're passionate.
Yeah. And at this point, I then encourage people to say to get a diary or a piece of paper and write down some ideas, you know, and keep those keywords in your mind and contemplate about those keywords within the next week or two and see what comes up. Yeah. So then, not now, but then I would say, okay, first one, the top relevant was the gene key or the hexagram number 11 that came up. And here we have the shadow of obscurity, the gift of idealism, and the city is called light. I am enveloped in cosmic light. So you can sense we're moving into higher realms of consciousness, right? At the moment. So, and here it's probably even harder to get people relate to light, you know. Sometimes people ask, what do you mean by light, cosmic light? I don't know what you mean. Well, for me, it might have a different meaning than for you or for someone else. So here's just an invitation again to keep that keyword in mind, write it down. If you don't have any ideas at the moment, write it down and contemplate and sit with it for a week or two and see what comes up. So, okay. It's simply an invitation to investigate and inquire about those keywords. That's all.
Yeah. And would people reflect, Rolf, would people reflect back on like their day that's just been and how that could sort of fit in there? Is that like one way that people can sort of reflect to contemplate and maybe in any sort of actions or tasks that they do tomorrow?
Yeah, that's right. They can reflect on it, and because it was the Healy scan, it came up with a relevance, and right on top was obscurity and idealism and light. Now those three keywords, they came up for a reason, and sometimes I hear people say, oh, you're funny you're saying that. Right now I'm going through this and this challenge, and I don't seem to get through with my dreams and I'm stuck somewhere. Funny that came up at the moment right now, you know, and that is always valuable feedback. So, but the most important part is to have an open exchange of ideas and questions and listen what the others. And again, very important, without giving advice, without explanation, or this is this and this means that. It's just being open and playful, and it's a space of self-inquiry. I call it self-inquiry, inquiring into my own self, starting with the shadow, starting with that which is my challenge or stops me from my being successful or happy or whatever.
Yeah, it is quite on point. Oh, sorry, Michelle, you guys just going to say it's quite on point.
Really
I think
it really is.
Sorry?
I'm really impressed. It's really on point for Daniel. It's amazing. Yeah. Can you hear me? Yeah.
Yes, we can hear you.
We can. Yeah. There's a current hurdle where I guess that just sums up a lot. And I think Michelle's crossed that one too.
Okay. You don't have to disclose it. I mean, it's for you now for you then to take the next step and write it down, and for you to stay with that. Then, okay, what comes up? And I write it down, and maybe you will have a dream tonight. You get some answers or something while you go for a drive and something. Oh no, it makes sense. And then the key is here to step into that creative process. You're not stuck on the shadow side. Actually, the shadow side, we should only spend 20% of our attention. The other 80% should be spent on the gift, on our creative potential, which here in the 11 was idealism. What are your dreams and ideals? How can you express them? How can you make them come true? That's the main work then. Yeah. But first, we need to know what is stopping us. Mm-hmm.
That is my question. So the other day we on your last time we saw each other, and we were talking about being comfortable with being uncomfortable in that process. For me, mine's come up with 21. And at the moment, for me, I'm like, I need to look at things differently and out-create what's happening to me right now. And really, it's coming up every day in different scans and different ways. And I feel a lot better about life right now with the challenges I have because of that. But what do I do with this particular I-Ching reading now that it's brought up 21, which is, I don't know how to pronounce it, the criminal trial?
Okay. Yeah, I wouldn't refer, as I said before, I personally find it, maybe because it's me, it's just you it's just too much. You can get lost in it. So
yeah.
and for me as someone who works with the gene keys, then is okay, you know what, I'm going over to the gene keys where it's much more modern, and you know I can relate more to those keys. And the 21, the shadow aspect is control, shadow of control, the gift of authority, and the city is valor. So it says, I'm controlling and defending my territory.
I am. I'm fighting for my identity. Yeah. It's amazing.
So you can inquire into that and see, okay, where does it show up? How do I do that? And how do I react? How do I feel when it shows up? You know, then just go back to those 6 questions here at the end of your script. You know,
which you'll share with us later.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
So how do I feel about it? And okay, and that's the challenge. How do I deal with this now and expand? That is hard.
Yeah. So you're aware of them, of those shadow aspects. Then you're aware, and now it's a matter of mindfulness and becoming aware every time something is triggered that has to do with control or territory. So and then you reflect, you take a breather, you step back, and now the process begins with you, where you go within and you allow, accept what is happening, and you see how it plays out, you feel how it plays out, and you think, okay, how can I do things differently? What is the gift again? Oh, the gift was authority. Okay. Now, authority, what does it say here about authority? What was it, 21? I am balancing authority and submission. So you find the balance between control, submission, and find your own authority coming from your own sovereign space, but from a compassionate point of view, you know?
Yeah, I come from a defensive point of view at the moment, and I feel that, but I'm not sure. It's not habitual acting, it's a trigger with fight or flight, but I don't know another way to be in this state. And to do that, that's my challenge. Like, and so to trust other people around.
So the first step is being aware where the challenge is. Now, the challenge was control, and you know how you feel, and there's no script now. There's no, okay, now you do that, and now you do that. Okay, now you are aware of that, and you put the intention into the universe, and you say, okay, my intention is, from now on, I want to find a better way.
Right.
How can I? I don't know it. No one needs to know it. You need to find out your own process, and that will reveal itself if you're open and if you set the intention.
Yes,
that's the process.
Internal. I do look for. I love learning, and I love what we're doing here, and a lot of the other spaces I'm in. But I find I've ingested a lot of information, and to integrate it is very important to take the time to do that every day, like you say.
It's there are 4 aspects to shadow work, or to the I-Ching, or to the gene keys. There are 4 aspects. And you might want to write them down too later. One is inquiry. Always have an inquisitive mind. Inquiry, which is essentially self-inquiry. Who am I? Why am I here? What am I doing here? What's my purpose? So that's self-inquiry. The next one is contemplation. You know, you have those things in your mind and you have a relaxed state of mind and you contemplate about those key things and what you experience and your challenges. You contemplate it, not in order to find solution, but to just hold them in your mind. And the last two is patience and kindness. Be kind to yourself. It won't happen overnight. Kindness and patience. That's actually the four key points of the Gene Keys approach: inquiry, contemplation, kindness, and patience. So, and if you keep that in mind, everything will fall into place. It's a journey.
Yeah, thank you. It's great.
It's a journey.
Yeah.
So, what are we going for time? Almost 10:02. So, okay, I was at the end with the last question. How can I recognize and activate my gift? That's the last question. How can I recognize and activate my gift? And the gift for the Gene Key 11 was idealism for Daniel. So, but you all have those lists, and it's all you need to do. You need to work with. They're keywords, and you play with them. You go into inquiry. That's a modern way to work with the I-Ching, I found. And it's modern in the sense that it's shadow work. We have to start somewhere, and we need to start with our shadow. We need to clean up our shadow stuff in order to become aware and activate our creative potential, our gift. That's what we're here for. That's our purpose. So, and Daniel had then, of course, the last four, but we won't go through them because it's all the same then. Just I go to the list. Okay, the next one was number 8. Then I'll go in here, have a look at number 8. Go in here, have a look at number 8. It's all the same anyway. So number 8 is mediocrity, style, and exquisiteness. So then I do the same process again. So with those four numbers that came up with the scan, with your I-Ching scan, you've got 5 numbers. You start with the first one: shadow, gift, and city. Ask the questions, get feedback, make sure they write down and do a diary, and then you go through the next number and the next until you're finished with the 5 numbers, and that's the process.
So collectively, that would paint a picture, Rolf, for what's coming up in people at the moment. Is that?
Yeah. That would paint a picture at their current challenges, their current, where they feel stuck at work or with themselves or in relationships. You know, that, and I was quite amazed that I can do that with the Healy. I don't need to get people to get a Gene Keys profile with their date and time of birth. They can do that anyway. And because then you get more into depth, and you've got altogether 14 of those relevant numbers, which are then relating to relationships and prosperity and so forth. But this is a good start. This is a good start to get into shadow work.
But Rolf, the Gene Key profile, because I've got my Gene Key one here, compared to the readout with the Healy, like there's one Gene Key that says life's work 51, evolution's 57. That's an overall picture the Gene Keys painting there, and the I-Ching readout is a now thing. Is it like what's in my consciousness? And yes.
Okay. Yes, that's about correct. Yeah, your Gene Keys profile is your DNA imprint, and with the Healy, it's what's present right now, and it can be different from the Gene Keys, you know. If I do a scan with myself, different numbers would come up too, different numbers compared to my Gene Keys profile. Yeah. So that's the process. Daniel, go on.
Yeah, no, I was just saying that's it's really, really good. I think so. I guess by looking through the charts as well and just having the shadow and the gift for each one of the gene keys right now really helps people to keep it at the forefront of their mind. Is that something you'd recommend that people write down or
yes
have in their consciousness?
Yeah, and I've got the list here for you so you can work with. So you don't need to read through the whole book. I mean, if you want to, you can work through. Here is then every key then is explained in detail, yeah. But if you want, you can go and get the book, and later on you read it. And if you're particularly interested in Gene Key 11, you read all about Gene Key 11, what the essence out of it. But for now, and with our Healy, those two charts, lists, and the Healy scan, it's all you need. Anyone can do it. Just simply asking the questions. And the questions I've provided here on the step 1 to 6 process. Here are the questions.
Beautiful.
And that's it. That's what I do with the Healy and the I-Ching scan.
Rolf,
Wow.
with the when you hold an intention, and in the aura scan, and it can shift and change and pivot during the day, is the readout from this deeper and it doesn't change because it's a different database? So because I know with like the aura scan, it's what's in your mind and your intention is important. Does the I-Ching readout change like as much as that does?
I've done a few tests in a row. Sometimes the numbers swap a little bit, the order, but they stay the same. But they can be different tomorrow or the next day. Test it for yourself. The percentage could change. Yeah, test it for
my
yourself.
intuition thought it would be it's a deeper thing, and it'd be something that would take a lot more work to shift, I suppose, because it's what you're working with. But the percentage of it, say 73 for me for what came up. What's that like? Obviously, it's a high percentage. Bringing the awareness is there, and working on it. That's obviously you take the top ones, but you obviously hold priority for the top.
Keep at them maybe for a few days or a week or two. How long it even feels necessary and comfortable for you. If then your attention shifts to a different key, from your scan, or you do another scan and see what comes up. But I found usually a week or two, it's probably worthwhile to spend with one topic and then really be mindful of that. That's why
in your head, hold the keywords in your mind.
And keep with them. I spent 9 months on only 4 keys. So really was diving into okay, I took one key and I really took my time and really observed my life. And I've written diaries and watched my dreams, because it was important to me. I'm really passionate about self-inquiry. So, but if there's something present in someone's life and Gene Key 11 or something is on top of the I-Ching scan, then spend some time with it, investigate and see what's happening in your life.
When you're having that in your mind, your process to have, like, obviously everyone's got different. Do you meditate with that, or you just have that awareness as you go about your day, or do you stop for that and think and reflect? What's your process?
There are 3 ways. One is called concentration, contemplation, meditation. Concentration is when you really focus on something. And when you try to solve a problem, for instance, when you widen your attention and you're more relaxed, but you still have a process going in your mind, that is called contemplation. You're open, you're relaxed, and you can do that while you do the dishes or while you go shopping. It can take 5 minutes, it can take 10 or 15 minutes, but sometimes you will find that the mind shifts. You've got different ideas, and then I bring myself back to center. Oh no, I want to contemplate and observe myself when I contemplate about the keyword of idealism. And so, and then meditation is different again. Meditation for me is just simply sitting with what is and becoming aware of the spaces between thoughts.
I have found when I was doing meditation, things drop in for me and an awareness like I wouldn't have before. When I was 20 minutes in type thing, it was after being still, which is unusual for me. But would you, dreams, I don't remember my dreams at the moment, or haven't for a long time. But do you say dreams are an important part of shadow work and being able to?
Oh yes. Oh yes.
How would I invite my dreams to be? How would I remember that? Because it's fleeting type thing. I find that very frustrating to everyone else does.
Well, you cannot really invite them unless you go to bed and set an intention. Well, tonight I want to be aware of my dreams. Set the intention again and say, yes, I want to be aware. I want to remember my dreams in the morning. But I think we cannot make it happen. We cannot say, oh, tonight I want to dream about this and this and this, and I want to get my problem solved. It's not how it works.
Well, I wrote it on the mirror. I said, it's safe to remember my dreams. And I woke up and I'm like, where? It's like the tooth fairy didn't come.
Yeah, but let me explain it this way. In your wider field of your awareness, it's there. It's all there. But when you focus on something, you can't find it. Maybe it's over here or over here. Your dream is over there or over here. But you focus. You haven't tuned into that energy. Oh, there, over there it is. We cannot do that with our mind. We just need to learn to relax and have an open, wide, receptive mind, and then things fall into place anyway. And you need trust.
I think I'm going to go dancing
trust
again.
is very important.
That's right.
Yeah.
When I'm dancing and I go out dancing with the girls, and that's when I feel most joy, and then things happen.
Yeah, that can happen through movement, through sitting still, listening to music, having a glass of wine, whatever. Everyone is different. For me, it's like nice music, have a glass of wine, sit back. I can write poetry, which I've done. That works for me. Other people dance. No, I need to sit still and have a nice glass of wine, nice music and candles on. And then all of a sudden, boom, 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 things come in. And
Thank you.
Are we going for time? Well, we've got 1 hour. Any more questions? Nice to see you, Elise. If there are no questions, I would say I stop the recording and I'll send you, I sent Emma the recording together with your paperwork. All this, that's all you need. Step is provided here, step 1 to 6. You've got the lists, and I would say have fun experimenting, trying it out, try it with your partner first and see how it leads to. The most important thing is do a test with yourself and, write those 5 numbers down, get the meaning or get the keywords from those I-Ching or Gene keys, get the keywords and work with it. Ask yourself those questions, write it down, contemplate, and see what comes up. It's all about raising our awareness to shining the light of awareness onto our shadow aspects. And Healy, great for it.
That's beautiful.
All right, I might stop the recording here. Have fun, enjoy. I'll stay. So I'll stop the recording.